What's going on? It's Hellfire with MPCmasters.com, and I just want to talk a little bit more about the MPC Touch now that I had it in my hands for a couple of weeks now, and had the chance to get pretty acquainted with it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make a beat, and talk about it as I go along, and go over some things that I really like and some things that I don't like. And for the demonstration, I'm going to be using a new sample pack by my man Boonie Mayfield. This one's called Boonie Tunes. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to say is that regarding the MPC Touch, as compared to the Renaissance, I kind of feel like the MPC Touch is definitely more centered around working from the hardware. Like, I kind of feel like you can do a lot more from the hardware as compared to the Renaissance. Maybe not a lot more, but like, I kind of feel like with the Touch, I really don't have to reach for my mouse or keyboard as often as I do with the Renaissance. As I go through it, you'll see what I mean. So let me go into the browser, and I'm gonna go to my samples. I'm gonna load up the Boonie Tunes. So basically, what this is Boonie, composed a whole bunch of samples for you guys. You can see they have the tempos. There's not really any drums included. It's just some stuff that you can just chop up and just bang out with it. And it's all royalty free and all 100% composed by Boonie Mayfield. All right, so let's get right into these. Something to dance to. And there's a whole bunch of them in here. I can't go through every single one, but I'm just gonna, randomly skip through, and then, we'll choose one. And some of them have, multiple parts, so you can use different parts for different sequences, or, mix and match however you want. Now you can see I'm using the data dial to scroll down here. You can also use the touchscreen, but it's not as smooth. It doesn't flow. That's one of the things I hope they do fix, or add, rather. These things are crazy, man. All right, so that's the whole kit. I skipped through a lot of them. I think I want to use that blaxploitation one. So obviously that one's way at the top of the list, and so that's one thing that's really painful is getting back to the top of the list. It's not like an iPhone where you can just do one of those, and even using a data wheel is kind of a little bit slow. Let's go with this one. All right, so let me jump into sample edit. We'll just chop this baby up. Add my first slice. All right, so it's pretty, quick to slice. We zoom in. Turn this auto scroll off. And chopping from the screen is actually not bad. It's pretty quick. And it's pretty quick doing that. And like, if you really want to get really surgical, you can still even, do it with the Q links, like before. So you still have both ways if you don't like using the touch screen, which I really like. All right, so let's convert that. All right, so let's go into program edit. Yeah, so you can't change your program from here. So we got to go back out to the main screen, then change it. Then we got to go back in. Let's try that. Make the quantize off. Alright, so it's a couple of notes I want to fix, like this one here. I want to nudge that one back. It's real easy to do that. Maybe do that one too. Actually, move all of these back. See, something like that you can't really do from the Renaissance that quickly. Like the Renaissance has the list editor, but you can only do one note at a time, and you can't see the notes like you can on here. So that's one thing I really love about the touch in this aspect. Although this does need some work, like being able to select non-adjacent notes, like you can't do that. If I try to select that, my bad. If I try to select this, hold shift and go over here, I lose that selection. So hopefully they add that. Alright, so I like that. So let's go ahead and save it. Now, one thing that I don't like is that there's no shortcut for saving. So like if I'm in program edit and I want to save this, I have to go all the way to the main screen, then in here, and then save. But before you can even save on the hardware, you have to save from the software. So let me go ahead and do that. Alright, so let's choose another track. Try to find some drums. Why not use some Boonie loops? If you don't have this Boonie break kit, man, I advise you to stop what you're doing right now. Head over to MachineMasters.com and grab this thing right now, because this is crazy. All right, so the other thing you can do from here, which I like, is you can go ahead and throw a bunch of slices in there and then edit them. You kind of got to be careful where you let go of this slice marker, because sometimes it can jump on you, like when you release it. Right now it's not doing it. It's being pretty, you know, pretty obedient. Save that. Erasing the notes is a little bit difficult. You gotta kind of get in there because you can't swipe to erase. You gotta tap on the note exactly to erase it. So again, that's everything I'm complaining about can be added later. So, you know, it's not like it's a big crazy deal, you know. It's up to you. The other cool thing is, you know, how you can name your tracks really quickly. So I'll call this my sample. So the workflow is pretty quick, I think. Once you get familiar with the touchscreen and where everything is, the menu, sure, you have to go into the menu to get everything, but once you memorize where they are, like if I want to go to like the mixer, I know, boom, boom, right there, I'm in the mixer. I want to go to sample edit, right there, it's that quick. If I want to go to the browser, I know it's there, track mute, I know it's there, things like that. So it's not as bad as it seems. It's just, it adds another thought to the process, which some people feel, is a hindrance to the workflow. And, I can kind of agree with that sometimes, so let me show you a virtual instrument. See what I want to add. All right, so let's put a little bit of a delay on there. Again, the scrolling, trying to get to a bottom of a list is kind of a pain. But and even the data wheel, it's like, compared to the Renaissance, it's not as fast because you can't really, with the Renaissance, you got the little grips on the side. With this, you don't really have that, so you make do though. So let's turn that mix down. Drop that feedback some. So yeah, the one thing I love about the touchscreen is that it takes the cursor out of the equation, because if I want to get to something, I can just touch it. You know, with the Renaissance, you moving the cursor back and forth. Here, you just do that, you know, go wherever you want quickly. Let's add one more. And that's a bug right there. You know, you see when I'm trying to select my note and it's staying on the transport. Another thing I love is how they have the you know, the pad volume right here on the front page. This fader is not really that responsive all the time, so using the data dial is a nice alternative. The XY effects is really nice too. Let me see. Let's use the So yeah, you can see how, I made somewhat of a banger. I think not my best work, but that was all of 20 minutes. And I don't think I touched the mouse once except to save the project initially. So I think Akai did a really nice job with this. It's definitely nice to have in addition to the Renaissance. Again, I still kind of prefer the Renaissance as my main piece of gear, but if I only had this, I could get just as busy as with the Renaissance. You don't really miss the extra Q links because of the fact that you have a touch screen. So that was one thing that really surprised me, and one thing that was a huge plus for the touch, and one thing that I thought was going to be a disappointment was losing those 12 Q links. But like I said, the fact that you have the touchscreen, it makes up for it. And some things are so much quicker. Even though you don't have the transport location, the touch makes up in speed in other ways that the Renaissance is slow on. So another thing I've heard some people complain about was the fact that the pads are on the left and the Q links are on the right. But it actually feels kind of natural, especially for me being that I'm right-handed, because I can do everything really quickly from the touchscreen with my dominant hand being right here. You know what I'm saying? And the pads I can play, pretty much equally with both hands. So my left hand being by the pads is not a big deal. The Q links feel really nice over here. I actually love it. Love using the touch the more and more I use it. And the things that I do complain about are, in the grand scheme of things, pretty minor, and like I said, they're all things that can be made better with time. So all we have to do is just keep pressing Akai to add the things we want, and I look forward to seeing what the future holds for MPC users. Like I said, make sure if you don't have those boom bat loops, head over to MachineMasters.com right now, and make sure you head over there and grab the Boonie tunes while you're at it. As you can see, you can use both of them in tandem, and you can make some real good tunes. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Check me on the next one. Peace.